Hi there, thank you so much for joining me today. This video is all about a palette that I recently created with Lethal Cosmetics. They have a build your own palette feature on their website where you can create any palette of different sizes using their shades, and I have wanted things from the Lethal Cosmetics website for a long time, but because it's a German company, paying for customs and paying for all that extra stuff, I kind of just held me back because I knew it'd be very expensive. Plus it's an indie brand with like multichromes and stuff. Those tend to be more expensive anyway. And on top of that, a lot of the shades I wanted were out of stock. Like never was there a time where all the shades were in stock that I would have wanted. So factors just kind of kept me from going through with it. And then earlier in March, Amanda from Makeup Just for Fun here on YouTube talked about a coupon code that she had where you could get 20% off of your order if it's over $35 and free international shipping. Even though I think that promotion is over because that was several months ago, I do want to put her video in the description box, and I think she has a ton of videos about Lethal Cosmetics, and her swatches and her reviews of each individual shade is unmatched. Like, she's gonna do a way better job than I ever will. I still want to talk about my palette, but if you do want really thorough comparisons with within the Lethal Cosmetics range, because she has a much bigger collection than I do of Lethal singles, and she created a palette for each season, so she has one with different color stories and tutorials and stuff. Like, she just did a fantastic job. So I will have her video and her channel linked in the description box. Because this was an international order, which I don't do very often, I did want to talk a little bit about my experience. I live in the US and Lethal Cosmetics is in Germany. And so for this palette and the 12 shades inside, I paid $92 US. I placed the order on March 19th. It was dispatched on March 30th and it arrived April 12th. And one of the shadows was a pre-order, so that likely added some of the time from when it was ordered to when it was dispatched. But I think for an international order, ordering it on the 19th and receiving it on the 12th the next month, that's only 3 or 4 weeks after, which is, I think, great timing. I do want to mention that depending on what type of credit card you use to make the purchase, if you do use a credit card, some of them will flag international orders as potential fraud. And so I did get an email asking me to confirm that I was the one that made the purchase. That might also happen for you. So if you've never made an order internationally and you don't know what your credit card's going to do, maybe just look into that so that it doesn't get canceled because your credit card thinks it's a fraudulent charge. So the palette that I chose was the 12 pan palette. It's the Flora Magnetic Customizable Palette. This on its own is $13 and it holds 12 shades. And I am going to go through each of the shades individually and give some swatches and talk about it in more detail, each one, especially because a lot of them are different formulas within the Lethal Cosmetics eyeshadow line. And I did want to show you the eyeshadow look that I'm wearing today. I don't know if the lighting is catching it exactly the way I would want. So in my inner corner and up to my brow bone, I'm wearing a multichrome called Ceres, which is the first shade in the palette. It looks like it's white in the pan, but it does have a lot of shifts once you apply it. And then on the lid, I'm wearing this bottom shade here. This is Arcade, which is a duochrome. It's like a light peach to a gold to a green. And then on the outer half, I am wearing a like grayish shade from the Huda Beauty palette. But I just love how these shades can really add something special to any look, even if I just want to throw something on the inner corner up into the brow bone. I just really like this palette so far. I've used it several times so that I could give a more thorough review on my thoughts. And I am going to go through each individual shade and swatch it on my hand and try to show you all the different dimensions. But like I said, Amanda does a great job. She even does one where she turns off the lights and then uses the flash on her phone to show like even more dimension. I'm going to start with that first shade. This is Ceres, and this one is a multichrome, and it has a metallic finish and a translucent base that shifts from red, violet, blue to turquoise, and on its own this is $16.50. I really like using this shade in particular on the inner corner, but it is really pretty all over the lid by itself for like a really ethereal, beautiful look because it does have that translucent base. Additionally, this does look really cool whenever you put it over a dark base as well, and I do like to use all of these shimmers with a glitter glue instead of just a regular primer. The next shade is also multichrome. It's this one right here, and this is Genesis. This has a sparkling metallic finish that shifts from gray, blue, green, pink to gold, and this one is also $16.50. And even though these two shades do look different in the pan, I think on the lids they can kind of do the same thing, they just have slightly different shifts. The third shade here, this is Altitude. It's the only matte shade that I ordered, and this is a pastel periwinkle with a matte finish. And Altitude retails for $6. And I do have a couple of other matte blues in my collection that I wanted to compare them just in case you were curious. The first one's from the It's Freakin' Bats palette from Shroud Cosmetics. I'm talking about the shade Spooky here. Spooky is much deeper and more pigmented. It's still cool toned, but it definitely is very different. And then the other one I wanted to talk about is again from Shroud Cosmetics, and it's the Creepy Cute palette, and the shade I'm talking about is Cold Shoulder. This one is lighter, but it's definitely warmer and more of like an aqua blue. So even though these aren't exactly the same, I did want to compare them just because in my head when I was thinking of similar shades that I had in my collection, those were the two that came to mind. The next shade I want to talk about is this fourth shade here. This is Stargaze, and this is a duochrome that retails for $7, and it is a slate gray to blue violet duochrome with a sparkling metallic finish. And I am reading these descriptions off of the website. I did not write these myself. The next shade is this one here, shade number 5. This is Descent. I don't have written down which one it is. I don't think it's any of the special formulas. I think it's just a regular shimmer shade. And this one retails for $6. And this one is a lavender with silver highlights and a metallic finish. I really like this one because while it is a warmer purple, having that silver finish kind of takes it and makes it a little bit different. And I do like that that silver kind of makes it, I don't know, I guess I feel like it kind of neutralizes the look. If I don't want something that's too overtly warm, I want something that's slightly more neutral. It does have that silver flip to it, which is really nice. The next two shades I want to talk about are Synth, which is a duochrome, and Retrograde, which is a multichrome. Synth retails for $7, and it is described as a lavender to blue mint duochrome with a sparkling metallic finish. I find that the duochromes do tend to be a little bit more powdery, but I find that with most duochromes from other brands that I've tried as well. I just think this one's really pretty. It kind of reminds me of a single from Makeup Geek that I had years ago. I think it was in the shade Hot Pants. And this one kind of reminds me of the shade that we talked about previously, Descent, but instead of having a silver shift like Descent, this one has like a blue shift, which is really pretty. And then the next one is Retrograde, which like I said is a multichrome. This one has a metallic finish that shifts from tan, turquoise, blue, violet to red. And this retails for $16.50, and I find that the formula for this is a lot smoother. It doesn't have as much kick up, especially when I use my fingers, which I do tend to use with these types of shades. I really hope you're able to see that shift of that really bright lime green to that like reddish tan. The next two shades I want to talk about are this one here. This is the shade Mercury. And then the next shade is called Twilight. So this shade in the middle is Mercury, and then the one on my index finger is Twilight. Mercury is a marbled shadow with a brown to green duochrome base and has light pink speckles and a metallic finish, and this retailed for $7. And this was something that they labeled a charity shade. It is still available on their website while I'm filming, and 100% of the proceeds of this product will be donated to animal charities Born Free and Gut Ederbico. I don't think I said that second one correctly, but I will have it on the screen and in the description box. And they have a really cute Instagram post about the pet that this shade was named after. Mercredi, which means Wednesday in French, is a rescued baby dove that became a beautiful and healthy dove thanks to his caring family. And then the second shade, Twilight, is a duochrome that retails for $7. And this one is a lavender to gold duochrome with a metallic finish. This one you have to be careful not to apply too much of it because it is a thicker formula and it does have a lot of kick up, and because it still does have like a shift to it, like a metallic shift, if you apply too much of it, it'll almost be too much powder to give any reflect. So if you use a really light layer, you'll get more of that metallic finish, but if you use too much, it'll kind of take that away. So just be careful. The last 3 shades, I'm just going to show them all together. They do look really similar in the pan, and I'm hoping if you're between the 3 shades, I can help you by swatching them all together, and that way you can see the differences between them. So this middle one, I don't think this one's available anymore. This is also a charity shade. This is called Mika. The shade was named after a rescued pitbull with a difficult past who now lives her best life surrounded by love. And this one I think also retailed for $7. And then the second to last one is a duochrome in the shade Evoke. This one is a blue to mint duochrome with a sparkling metallic finish. And then the last one, Arcade, also a duochrome that retails for $7. It's a light peach to gold green duochrome with a sparkling metallic finish. So this one on my index finger is Mika, the one on my middle finger is Evoke, and then the one on my ring finger is Arcade. I don't have an exact definition to give you for this top one, which is Mika, because like I said, it's no longer on the website. But if you can see, compared to the other two, it does have a little bit more of like a purple base versus a pink base. And then this middle one here is Evoke. That's the baby pink to blue mint duochrome. And then this last one is like the peachier, brighter version of it. This one is a light peach to gold green duochrome. So in conclusion, with my final thoughts on this palette, I think that this works really well within my collection because these are special shades that I can use to take any look that I have on up a notch. I typically only use my fingers for these, and I just tap them on, or sometimes I'll use a brush to blend them in, but honestly, they have a lot of kick up, especially those duochrome shades, and so I don't want to be too wasteful with how much product I pick up. But that would likely be the case for any brand that has duochromes and multichromes. I think that type of formula can just be a little bit chunkier. If I can find any additional shades in my collection that I think can be compared to these, I do have a handful of Cliona singles. I do have some other metallic shades and other similar shades in my collection that I will try to do some side-by-sides if I can find any that are similar enough. I am really glad I waited for the sale. I don't think that there's any shades from Lethal Cosmetics that I feel like I need to go out and get currently, like especially because I do feel like I already have a lot of eyeshadow, or I have plenty for what I like to use. But I am really glad I got to try these out. I do really enjoy this palette. Every time I pull it out, I'm able to create a look I really enjoy. And it is great to have a palette that has a ton of like one and done shadows. I could easily just take my finger and put this all over my lid, add some liner and mascara, and have like a really beautiful dimensional look, which I'm a really big fan of. If you have any singles from Lethal that you love, I also just saw that they came out with blushes, and one of the shades in particular I really want, but I can wait, I can hold off. I do have plenty of blushes, but if there are any singles from Lethal Cosmetics that you think I should try, or that you definitely recommend, some of your favorites, please let me know. Maybe I can put together a wish list, and maybe if another random amazing sale comes down the line, I can consider purchasing something later on. I hope this video was helpful and informative, but in the meantime, that's everything I have. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!